Hi, I'm Phil Dustin, and together with Anna Zimmerman, we're going to give you an explanation of base flood elevation and why the City of Charleston should not increase the base flood elevation for new construction. So if we have a house sitting like this, the bottom of that house, the finished floor height, must be at base flood elevation or above in order to satisfy FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency's criteria for building in a building safely. So typically what we have is the base flood elevation would be essentially the elevation at which there's a 1% chance of having a 100-year flood. I know that's kind of a technical term, but just go with me. So imagine that we are in an area that is low. And a developer comes in and they add dirt to that area. Okay? So this is fill dirt that's been added to that area to increase the house. So right here we have BFE of 14 feet. We raise the house by 1 foot. So we add 1 foot. And we can do that usually through a number of ways. We could build a crawl space under it, or we could add more fill dirt, like so. And this is what we call fill and build. So now we have this house that sits here. Now what the city would like to do is to essentially increase that by 1 more foot. So if you build a new house, this would be the bottom of the new house. And that sounds like a reasonable thing because it would make the house safer. However, it would add more fill dirt to the area as well. But here's the rub. We have a house that was built, say, 10 years ago to 1 foot above base flood elevation. And now a big storm comes along, really big storm, and that house floods. If 50% or more of that house is damaged, okay, that's what we call substantial damage. And if that should occur, in order to rebuild that house, in order to get a FEMA loan, or in order to get any federal assistance, or to get your flood insurance money, or to do anything, what you have to do, because we now have base flood elevation 1 more foot, we have to take this house and jack it up. So we're going to have to raise that house up to the new level before anything else can happen. So if you happen to have a slab-on-grade house, the first thing you have to do, if it was substantially damaged, is raise it by 1 foot. And that's a very expensive operation. That could cost more than the value of the house in many situations. So this is why increasing base flood elevation may sound like a good idea for new construction, but substantially damaged houses fall into that bin of new construction when they are to be rebuilt. So what it would mean is after a bad flood, there are many, many, many houses in this area that have been built to BFE 14 that would essentially cost more than their mortgages are worth almost to repair. So I think that would destroy the housing market and cause all kinds of angst in the economic sector of the City of Charleston. Thank you.
Thanks, Phil, for that explanation about fill in the floodplain. So yes, if you do have a substantially damaged home, FEMA dictates what new construction is. The City of Charleston cannot provide its own definition of what new construction is. Also concerning, however, is an increase in BFE with no concern about a ban of fill dirt. Because we could, as we are now, what if we had a house that we had at BFE +1? That's where we are now. If we would ban fill tomorrow, people could just build a crawl space to get to that. But the city wants to raise this with no accounting of adding fill dirt. So actually, instead of banning fill and build, the city with BFE +2 would like to increase the fill to the build. So that's also a problem. 2 areas that are highly irresponsible to the existing residents of the City of Charleston. So I would go with Harry Griffin and listen to what he has to say about the ban, fill, and build, because that is our to get to a better sustainable future.
And that's exactly right. What we want to do is have a campaign to ban fill and build, and we are actually right now initiating a nationwide ban on fill and build, because this has to occur. Otherwise, we're going to destroy the housing market in the southeast U.S. and from Houston all the way up into Virginia, wherever fill and build and these planned unit developments are being constructed right now. That needs to stop.
I think that covers.